This is Emmett.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast to support the show. And if Twitter's still around, you can just contact both of us on there. Haven't met for another, 2 minutes of this recording.
I'm Jess Blumke. We're recording this Thursday evening, and was it today that a bunch of people quit?
Oh, yeah.
Who knows?
Dying
I'm trying to figure
everywhere.
out how to download my thing, even though who gives it? Have I said anything interesting or insightful? I have not.
Just FYI, next week, Thanksgiving week, because it's a holiday and stuff, we have a pre-recorded interview we'll be sharing with you then, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. But I do have actual stories we're talking about. I figured I would start with the one that I figured you would enjoy the most.
I did. As soon as he sat down, I said, "Are we talking about Candace Cameron Bure?"
And we are. Yes. Is it Bure? Bure?
I've always heard Bure or Bure.
We'll call her Candace. So this actress from Full House and Fuller House
DJ Tanner.
and a whole bunch of Hallmark Christmas movies. And just to be clear, if you don't watch the Hallmark Channel, they spend all year making dozens of Christmas movies, usually with the same cast. Like, I've read articles where it's like the same small bit players that appear in every movie. It's a family. They not literally,
dude,
like
you
just
are
actors.
In that universe, you see the same people over and over, and you know what? God bless them. They're making a good living, I hope.
That's exactly what they said. They're like, I'm an actor. I get to do this.
Actor.
It's
Who
great.
gives a shit?
But it's basically like this year they're putting out 40 Christmas movies. These are all original, made for Hallmark.
40.
Yeah.
I was going to say usually they do like 28 or 30 because they do like 28 Days of Christmas.
Sure,
or something like that.
they're going all in. Because Christmas starts after Halloween. And so they're doing 40 movies. And Candace Cameron, whatever her last name is, was in a whole bunch of these. And so the reason we're talking about her is because this week, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal, she said she's ditching her gig at the Hallmark Channel. And she's going to become, I want to make sure I get this right, she is becoming the senior... Chief Creative Officer with a channel called Great American Family. That's her new gig.
Oh, I thought she was just heading over to like Pureflix and only doing Christmas, like Christmas shit.
No,
now.
there is apparently like the Fox News, but like the Newsmax version of the Hallmark Channel. And it's called Great American Family. And apparently it's not available on most people's cable packages. You're not going to find it. They don't do live streaming. So like only 3 people get this channel.
Wait. Oh, so it's not available it's available on some cable packages, but not all. So they're limited to people who haven't cut the cord yet and want to actively subscribe to a Christian channel.
That's right.
So
she is in charge of she gets a fancy title, but she gets to oversee their batch of Christian Christmas movies. And the thing she said in the Wall Street Journal interview about her new step and her new gig is that, I need to give you some background here. This year, the Hallmark Channel, one of their 40 movies, for the first time ever, is centered around a gay couple.
Yes.
This is news.
This is a very important thing for background in terms of the Hallmark-averse of movies, is they are all heteronormative and they're all white, with some exceptions. They're blindingly white, except for like once in a while you get like somebody's like mean business fiance is like sort of biracial, you think, maybe. Right. Like your grandma would definitely look at him weird if you brought him home for dinner, that kind of thing. But no, they're always white and always straight.
And if there's a gay person in the movie, it's like the sassy best friend.
Absolutely.
It's never the center. I should say 2 years ago, there was a subplot in a movie that involved a gay couple trying to adopt a child. But it wasn't the entire movie. But even 2 years ago when that happened, that was news in the Hallmark-averse.
Yeah.
But this year, that's the center point of a movie. It's called The Holiday Sitter.
I do think it's important to note that while these are Christmas movies, to be sure, they tend to not be especially religious.
They're not religious. Like, they're not political.
They're not the Jesus-y kind of Christmas movie. It's like the magic of Christmas, the magic of Santa, the magic of love, the magic of the love of a nutcracker who comes to life and messes up your bakery, which is a real movie starring Melissa Joan Hart. Yeah,
it's very much Hallmark cards come to life.
So it is interesting now that I think about it that she has been doing all these movies that are Christmassy but not Jesus-y.
Sure.
And I wonder if that's ever a point of contention of like, there's no Jesus in your Christmas movies.
Isn't that what Full House is? It's like cute family sitcom with no overt politics, with no overt
generically
religion.
Wholesome.
Yeah, generically wholesome, yeah. And so anyway, because Hallmark, their big surprise this winter is that one of their movies is going to have literally
out of 40
is going to have a gay couple. So here's the Wall Street Journal. Asked if she expects her new channel to feature same-sex couples as leads in holiday movies, Mrs. Bure said, no, I think that Great American Family will keep traditional marriage at the core. And that phrase was just headlined a lot
half
of places.
Of them don't even end in marriage. Mm-hmm. That's a kind of interesting wrinkle. So it's not like, even if they say they're not going to get married, can we just have like a Christian, like chaste Christian gay love story of just like very like thin-lipped kisses? Really non-sexual, thin-lipped presses.
She added later, like, my heart wants to tell stories that have more meaning and purpose and depth behind them. I know that the people behind Great American Family were Christians that loved the Lord and wanted to promote faith programming and good family entertainment. And just think about how she's talking about this network that three people have. She wants to make good family entertainment with people who love the Lord, all while highlighting traditional marriage. All of that is just Christianese for gay couples will not be treated as normal. Because if you do that, that's apparently a slap in the face to white evangelicals everywhere. Because it's not like Hallmark is promoting homosexuality, whatever that means. They're just saying, hey, these people exist too. Let's center a story around them. Because we need 40 scripts here about the exact same thing.
I should start just submitting scripts en masse to Hallmark.
Totally. Like, okay, one person is a baker who is going to run into her heartthrob of a customer. But maybe in the next movie, it's a librarian who does that. And, like, at some point, it's like, we got to do something different. Okay, this time, same movie, but two guys. Great, we got it. Make it. Here's $12. I don't know what their budget is.
As a romance novel aficionado and a fan of these Hallmark movies, although the last couple of years I haven't gotten into them as much because of life, I have to say that they are all very formulaic, not unlike a like any kind of rom-com we're going to look at. Any kind of action movie generally is going to have your same, like, beats. And boy, oh boy, Hallmark has that down to the moment. It's like, I guarantee you can be like, okay, 12 minutes is our meet cute. Yeah. At hour 110, they're gonna fight and they're never gonna get back together. Wait, they're back together.
Hallmark is not even pretending otherwise, right? They're like, no, we know what you like.
We all
know
what we're getting into. There's a reason people keep seeing Marvel movies. There's something comforting about something you kind of know what's going on.
And that's exactly their pitch. And to take that and to act like it's too liberal, too much with an agenda, too woke, whatever it is, and say like, no. Hallmark, you know what Hallmark is? It's this bastion of like liberal activism.
Truly,
it's like, I need to go to a new network that three people watch.
Well, and it kind of does show how places like Hallmark really get screwed coming and going because like they're doing all these like white nonsense, not screwed coming, like in a relative sense, all of these people are like, hey, maybe you should have like a non-white lead or like a queer lead or whatever. And like,
do you know what their pitch actually says?
To them.
They said, they highlighted this in their press release announcing the 40 movies. They said, well, this year, guess what? We have movies that include
movies plural.
Yeah, like of their 40 movies, one of them is going to have Kwanzaa as the center point.
I've never met anybody who celebrates Kwanzaa, and I really do want to hear about it.
One of them is going to celebrate Hanukkah, and it's around a family dealing with that. One of them involves a Chinese family. That was like in the press release. They're like, look, we're
involves a Chinese. They're like on the it's like it's just that Jewish one, but they go to a Chinese restaurant on Christmas, and it's like, see those guys? They've been running this for 50 years. I bet they have stories to tell.
That's the thing. Like Hallmark having one movie about a gay couple is not liberal activism.
No.
But Candace Cameron actively avoiding making movies with any gay couples, that is definitely conservative activism.
I was listening to a podcast called This Day in Esoteric Political History today about, as I'm wont to do, and it was about the 2012 midterms.
2012?
2012.
Okay.
Excuse me. It was not the 2012 midterms, but the 2012. Do you remember when the GOP had that like kind of come to Jesus moment of, hey, we lost 2012. We need to like.
We did an autopsy. We
the
know
autopsy.
what we need to
and
fix.
it was like goals oriented something. Like they did a GOP pun. And it was basically everything that we were.
Everything Democrats criticized us for, we actually need to fix.
Right. Genuinely, that's basically it. And then, of course, Donald Trump shows up and just throws that shit out the window immediately. But they made a point that I thought was very interesting, especially when it comes to in 2012, somebody famously said that, like, candidate quality is important. So they're like doing all these, like, actually, maybe you said that, of like, they're all just lunatics who keep getting elected. But, one of the hosts said that the problem with the GOP is that they keep pushing further right and they are reducing like their outreach. And I feel like this is such a beautiful metaphor of that, of like literally you are pulling away from like a larger audience that you could reach with your message, and you're instead choosing to only talk to your little echo chamber.
You're going from
and they're going to run out of people.
Yeah, you're going to the...
You can't keep paring your people down.
Hallmark has a dedicated but relatively small, maybe not for cable, but like has a niche audience. And to say, hey, this is the audience that we could be getting. Nope, let's go even more down the rabbit hole.
It's narrowcasting.
Yeah. And at some point here, and by the way, do you remember what her new title is? Chief Creative Officer.
Is she a writer?
No. But like, at what point does a creative officer ever say, you know what I need to do? Limit my options. No gay people in my movies.
One would think that the creative officer is not as worried about their audience share. But she definitely is not going to be like, you know what we do need? Something a little different. She's like, we need to rubber stamp this shit. We're going to like do like a find replace on Microsoft Word and just change names and redo those scripts. It will be great.
I think basically what she brings to the table here is a famous actress who's known for wholesome stuff. Give her a fancy title and give her the ability to like put her stamp on various movies. I believe the movies that she's involved with will say like Candace Cameron B presents, and then it's whatever non-gay movie it is.
She's the Steven Spielberg of the Pure Flix set. You know, Steven Spielberg used to be Steven Spielberg presents on everything, or like National Lampoon. That's about everybody go back.
Way better.
She's a National Lampoon of Christian. God damn it,
Flix.
Jessica.
She's the National Lampoon of Pure Flix.
Can somebody edit that together so it makes it sound like I just said it in one cool flow?
It won't be me. And by the way, I know some of you are thinking, we haven't talked about the obvious connection here.
Okay.
Her brother, her brother, Kirk Cameron, who was also a child actor like she was, has been preaching this fundamentalist gospel forever at this point. It's the reason he's not invited to actual movies and just makes like low-budget indie Christian movies these days. You might remember Kirk Cameron partnered with evangelist Ray Comfort for a series called Way of the Master, which only is remembered these days because there's one segment
which I just showed some friends this week. I have my friends who volunteer with me. They're teenage girls. Sounds weird. I'm friends with their mom. But they're Seventh-day Adventists.
Oh, my God.
And so I've been talking to them a ton because I don't know anything about that religion. I had a 4-hour lunch with them yesterday. It was incredible. I love these people. But anyway, I don't know what we were talking about, but I was like, well, you know the banana thing. Oh, because we were talking about Kirk Cameron. Of course we were. And I was like, well, you know the banana thing. And they're like, the what? And I made those girls watch that banana video, and it is genuinely so fucking funny every time.
Nightmare.
It's this 3-minute low budge little video, and I assume it's a clip from something longer.
It's a clip from a longer show that's trying to get you to believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah, this clip is about how the banana is the atheist's worst nightmare.
Yeah, because he says if you don't believe that the banana was created for humans, then you're more delusional than anybody.
Yes.
And honestly, it's so outstanding. There's 3 ridges. There's 2 ridges that fit with the ridges of your hand. There's a tab for easy opening. There's a color code system. Green means bad. Yellow means good. Brown means bad. And then he peels it. Look how elegantly the peel lays over my hand, which is outstanding work. And then he's like, and it's curved towards my face for easy eating, which is the wildest thing.
Yeah,
and then
bananas
he says,
curve toward your face if you hold them.
and then he says, the banana is the same shape as my mouth. And he makes a little ooh face to show how his face and the banana's face are the same faces. And
which is to say, this is the creative genius whose genes are now going to be making these movies.
Kirk Cameron and sitting next to him like, good point, Ray Comfort.
Can you believe that whole clip is known because like Kirk Cameron got associated with the crazy banana video. Kirk Cameron doesn't say anything in that banana video, really.
No, he doesn't, but he lent his credibility.
He did.
And he does like nod very earnestly. He's actually, listen, great at earnest nodding, our Kirk Cameron.
The other thing I had on my list here, do you know what else Kirk Cameron is best known for in terms of the evangelism ideas?
Is it the fire movie, the fireproof movie? Because I've seen that twice.
No. It's that during a debate on Nightline, back when that was a show on God's existence, they did a debate. Kirk Cameron introduced the world to a crocoduck, which was this is old school early atheism shit.
This is back when we were arguing about evolution on TV.
Fetuses.
We're not there anymore.
Yeah. He showed the world a picture of a half crocodile, half duck that he said
it was just a duck with a crocodile thing on it, right?
Like
mouth.
It's a stupid ass picture. And he said if evolution were true, this creature would have to exist. It does not exist. God is real.
Basically,
Checkmate,
what he's saying
atheists.
is if evolution is real, then there should be an example of every combination of every trait of every animal in existence because he understands science.
And obviously, that's not how evolution works. None of that is real. Anyway, that's Candace Cameron's brother.
Cool family. Successful family. Listen, I will give them this. They're a successful family.
Yes.
Big teeth in that family.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I have to imagine this isn't just me wishing for her to fail. I think it will fail. Because it's not just that this Great American Family channel isn't on anyone's TV or streaming. It's that if you're selling 10 different kinds of vanilla, you're not going to have a successful business
Truly,
here.
It's a good point. Like, I'm going to push back because, listen, Hallmark is nothing but not turning out the same thing over and over so people can have the comfort of watching something quote-unquote new but
she's
familiar.
She's trying to capture a small segment of an already niche audience. At some point, there has to be conflict. There has to be real tension. How do you portray real-life situations if you can't even
They have an atheist villain. What are you talking about? They always have an atheist villain.
If it doesn't look like the real world, what audience are you hoping to find enough that it will sustain an entire network?
You're confused. They don't want it to look like the real world, Hemmett. They are not looking for the real world to be reflected in their entertainment. They want the world that they want, which is everybody's white and everybody's Christian and everybody like gently holds hands and makes meaningful eye contact and then gets engaged before they have sex. Or gets married before they have sex. Their version of fantasy is everybody is white, everybody believes in God, everybody's stoked about Christmas. It snows every Christmas. There's no cities around here. There's no black people around here. There's no thugs. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they don't want anything that reflects the real world. The real world is scary to them. Ask them about cities.
Days after this comment first appeared in the Wall Street Journal, she has now responded, Candace, has now responded to the backlash.
Oh, yeah.
And here's a segment of what she said. It saddens me that the media is often seeking to divide us, even around a subject as comforting and merry as Christmas movies. Like, the media didn't divide you. You divided you. But given the toxic climate in our culture right now, I shouldn't be surprised.
Oh, my goodness. You're the real victim here.
And then here's the best part. To the members of the media responsible for using this opportunity to fan flames of conflict and hate, I have a simple message. I love you anyway. To those who hate what I value and who are attacking me online, I love you.
I hate
to those who have tried to assassinate my character, I love you. It's like, okay, calm down. No one assassinated you. We quoted you directly.
Yeah.
And we know you are lying when you talk about love because we see what that looks like in practice. Like, if progressives treated Christians the way she treats gay people, maybe she would have a point. But we don't, so she doesn't.
Well, that's not the end.
That's the end of my
No,
part.
there's more to it. What are you talking about? There's more drama.
What did she do now?
Well, Jodie, what's her face stepped in, the one who played the middle sister. Who? I thought you would have all of this. Jodie Comer, I think her name is.
Maybe she got married.
Jodie Sweetin. Jodie Sweetin.
I heard she was like a activist, like a progressive activist.
Yeah.
Who just shows up for like protests and stuff. So I'm like, oh, at least that one turned out good and normal.
Well, and she's picking sides because one of the other Hallmark actresses straight up called Candace Cameron Bure a bigot for leaving Hallmark because it's like, we know why you did it.
She did also get Aunt Becky to be in the movies as well.
She Jailbird Aunt Becky?
That's right.
Aunt Becky went to jail for that whole college admissions scandal.
And here's the thing. In that Wall Street Journal article, they quoted a couple of the Full House cast members saying like, yeah, well, of course we love her. We support her. Of course they would. They worked with her for many years. Like, I'm not surprised she's getting other cast members to join her on this little journey. I mean, but again,
you need more girlfriends because there's so much more to this story.
Do
you know who Jojo Siwa is? You have a daughter. You should. So she, I think, started as one of the Dance Moms girls and has just like fucking launched herself into the stratosphere. She's crazy popular. And she recently, maybe a year ago or so, came out as bi, I think. And she's real wholesome, like real, like, Middle America, bright colors, big high ponytail with a big bow, big smile. And she came out and like girls love her. And she came out as queer, which is excellent. And she said that, so Jojo Siwa said, honestly, I can't believe that after everything that just went down a few months ago, that she would not only, she being Candace Cameron Bure, which I don't know everything that went down just a few months ago. I'm not sure, but she would not only create a movie with the intention of excluding LGBTQIA+, but then also talk about it in the press. So she's saying that it's rude and harmful that she is like throwing her lot in with.
But she did a long time ago. This is just the latest version of it.
I know, but people are rightfully calling her out, and so Jodie Sweetin said that she's not on Candace Cameron Bure's side. Like, everybody's against.
So
like,
she is cool.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Everybody, like, in their little section of Hollywood, like, this is a big deal, and people are mad about it.
I don't know why they act surprised, though. Because, again, they, more than random people, would know she's been doing this forever. And again, I don't even care. This isn't about her views are wrong, even though they are.
Yeah.
It's that, okay, fine, like, don't act like you just say, look, I'm taking on this new job because, like, I don't like gay people. Don't pretend like, oh, I like traditional marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
And wink, wink. We all know what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Like, just say you want this other job. It'll pay you well. And you don't have to interact with people you don't like, whatever it is.
Truly, it is just too bad. It stinks. So, yeah, like Jodie Sweetin, Jojo Siwa got mad. A couple other people. Maddie Ziegler, who's another one of the not Dancing with the Stars, whatever it was. Alyssa Milano.
All dance people?
No. Just this one girl I mentioned. It doesn't matter. You don't know who she is.
I do not.
Holly Robertson Pete, another Hallmark alum. Just like people are taking to Twitter to be like, hey, go fuck yourself. Like, genuinely, it just is. Hey,
that's a good segue. Yeah. Here's another story. Speaking of which, YouTube has now terminated the second channel of Christian hate preacher Greg Locke.
Oh, Greg.
We mentioned a couple weeks ago
they
got rid of his church's channel. That happened a couple weeks ago. And it's like, well, he'll just live stream his crazy circus tent sermons on his personal channel. And he totally did.
Of course.
But here's the thing. If you are dinged on YouTube for whatever the reason is, you can't just do the same thing elsewhere. We will all know what you are doing.
Right.
I don't know if that's the reason or he said something else or whatever it was, but his Pastor Greg Locke channel which also has been around for a long time.
And
he has a lot
the other
of
was
videos up
just
there.
his church's name?
Right.
Okay.
Now they got rid of his Pastor Greg Locke channel, and we only know this because he posted it on Facebook. He basically said YouTube completely removed my personal page. There was no message, no warning, no explanation, ... Why would there be if you're violating their terms and services?
Okay, but I do have a question about that. Is he telling the truth or is he lying? In terms of he must have gotten warnings, he must have gotten things flagged. I'm not sure. I believe that
the church's channel, I believe, would have gotten the warnings. He would have known exactly what they were dinging him for. If he's just popping back up using his personal channel to do all the same stuff, I don't think he would have gotten a warning. I think they would have just been like, dude, you're breaking our terms by just live streaming.
So it's like, hey, you just put up the same shit we told you couldn't. Yeah. Got you, bitch.
So they don't owe him an explanation the second time around. But here's why I think this is important. It's that it's not just that he got deplatformed on YouTube. He can try to pop up, like a lot of those new independent fundamentalist Baptist people always pop up with new channels, even though that's breaking YouTube's rules.
It's a real whack-a-mole situation out there.
So he could try to do that, but the thing is, those two vehicles were his way. He doesn't give a shit about the people in his circus tent.
Oh, God, no.
He's playing to the camera because he knows the bigger audience, the more influential audience, the people who will actually give him money for this stuff are the ones watching his live streams online. Ideally, the people he can reach because they're going down some YouTube rabbit hole. He doesn't have that.
Yeah.
YouTube is the best platform to find stable at a time when everything is blowing up. YouTube is remarkably stable in this stuff. He loses that. Now, can he still live stream his services on Facebook? Yes, he can, and he does. But who's on Facebook?
Can you save videos to Facebook, or can you only live stream?
Oh, we can do all sorts of things.
But I mean,
yes, he could save his sermons on there. But the question is,
the reach isn't
who's
there.
watching Facebook? You have to go seek him out.
Sure.
On YouTube, you might stumble across him. So he's losing this huge platform.
And we've learned that deplatforming is extremely effective. We saw it with Donald Trump. We saw it with Milo. Something.
And Alex Jones, it happened too. The point is, yes, no, he has the right to say whatever he wants.
Absolutely.
No one's shutting down his church.
But YouTube is not obligated to put up his hate speech on their platform. They're just not obligated to their private company.
And keep in mind, he could totally go right now to one of those right-wing sites like Rumble or anything.
Rumble?
That's the one.
Calm down, conservatives.
That's the popular one among the right-wing crazies. He could totally go there and set up shop and post his live streams there. But he knows as well as we do, okay, but you're only speaking inside your echo chamber at that point. You're not reaching the people you actually want to reach to have influence.
It's a mirror of the Candace Cameron Bure thing, except for he's being forced out of his larger platform and she is exiting it.
Yeah, and they're both going in the wrong direction. So that's great news.
Yeah.
It's amazing Facebook hasn't shut him down yet, because again, if you need a reminder, this is a guy who openly denied the pandemic, did an interview with CNN when they said, hey, dude, what's a pandemic? And they spent 2 minutes with him not answering the question because he doesn't know.
Yep.
He said anyone wearing a mask in his church would be banned from entering.
I forgot about that. I always forget about that part, that not just you don't have to wear a mask, but do not wear a mask in here. That's a wild thing.
He led literal witch hunts against members of his own congregation. He had convicted felon and MAGA cultist Roger Stone speak at his church. He compared American hospitals, just hospitals, to the, quote, death camps of East Germany.
That's not it. That's
He
nothing.
He was the focus of a recent documentary series we talked about on conspiracy theorists.
Which him and appeared on.
Multiple bonfires to burn books. He attended the January 6th rally, but says he did not go inside the Capitol. I've never heard otherwise. And basically there are people, at least one, who died as a result of his irresponsible statements about the pandemic.
Really?
At least one.
Provable?
His family's our family member died because he listened to Greg Locke.
Wow.
And Greg Locke does not care about any of this.
Obviously.
So again, this guy isn't just wrong. He's a threat. He's a danger. It's long overdue for YouTube to get rid of him. I'm wondering why none of the other sites have done the same. Facebook, most importantly, because he loses that.
Yeah.
He is all of a sudden without a platform, and that would be devastating to his ego.
Has Facebook had a history of deplatforming people?
No, platform lets anybody
okay,
on.
I didn't. Excuse me, I
The
didn't
only
think it
thing
did.
you can be shut down for is tweeting a mild joke that one person finds offensive. They'll get rid of you immediately.
Oh, I can't write the word men on Facebook because I get zucked.
Exactly.
But
if
I don't get...
Franklin Graham says, what? Gay people shouldn't be allowed to be here. He is allowed to have 12 million followers. Let me jump to an interesting survey that came out today about climate change. I know, change of pace here.
Okay.
This is from the Pew Research Center. Big study asking, they tried to get questions about climate change, how much you care about it, who contributes to it. And they divided up the responses in a large part of this between people who said they were highly religiously committed because they go to church once a week, they pray, what did they say? They attend church weekly and they pray daily. That's someone with a high religious commitment.
Church weekly, pray daily?
Yeah, church weekly, pray daily. That's a high level of commitment. There's also medium and low levels of commitment. And here's what they found. What do you think? Do you think the earth is sacred? That's the question. Is earth sacred?
Yes.
Pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone, like 60 to 70%.
That's like, pretty much everyone.
Sure, however you want to define that. Here's where it gets different. Do you agree God gave humans a duty to protect and care for the earth?
No.
The highly religious crowd, 92% of them said, yes, God gave us this world, and we have a responsibility to care for the earth.
It doesn't feel like it comes through in their policies.
Yeah, and then when it comes to how many of you think climate change is a very serious problem or an extremely serious problem, only 42% of the highly religious said yes. And then when they said, is the earth getting warmer because of human activity, only 39% of the highly religious agreed, which means they believe God gave us this planet and it's their job to protect it, and they're climate deniers, and they don't understand how climate is changing.
Well, they don't believe in science. So...
I mean, that'll do it.
That's it. I mean, that's the end of the sentence,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you don't believe in science, then everything you believe is just based on whatever's last thing you heard.
Here's the little data game, though. Like, does that mean their religion is to blame for that scientific illiteracy? I mean, partly sure, because like you said, they're not big on the science thing. But as the survey noted, politics is really the strongest driver when it comes to beliefs about the climate, because it's not one of those biblical things like people claim homosexuality is.
Right.
There's no biblical dictate about climate change. So where are you getting your opinions from? It's usually through your political lens. So if you're a Republican, you're going to be a climate denier. By and large, highly religious Americans are more likely to be Republican. You can connect the dots that way. But it's not like churches are blameless, though, because vast majority of Christians, no matter what kind they are, said in the same survey that climate change rarely gets brought up during services. And their pastors don't talk about it with the congregations.
Yeah, of course, because it's a bummer. And all they want to talk about is like, I met a homeless guy and then I shook his hand and gave him a muffin and his day was better.
Yes,
Jesus.
I solved the problem. Evangelicals, only 4% of evangelicals said our church talks about climate change a great deal. And even among historically black Christians, it was who were at the higher end of that spectrum, 13%. So among Christian churches, virtually no one is talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Another couple interesting things about this. What about people without any religious affiliation?
Would you expect people to discuss it in church? Is that a surprise to you? I guess I'm not.
That part is not a surprise.
This doesn't surprise me.
I guess the argument...
Or is it just the dichotomy between that and the fact that 92% of people think that Earth is sacred, but they're not doing anything about it?
I mean, they're getting that Earth is sacred belief from somewhere, and yet there's no follow-up
responsibility to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised they don't talk about certain things, but by the way, I've heard this argument about atheist groups too. All you talk about is church-state separation, Christian nationalism. But if we're humanists, shouldn't we be talking about environmental justice or homelessness? Because those are connected to how do we care for each other.
All right.
And it's true that most of the atheist humanist groups don't spend a bulk of their time talking about the environment, no matter what they think about it because it's not necessarily the sexiest topic.
Right.
In terms of the non-religious crowd, just about all the nuns, I'm trying to get, 70% of nuns, and actually, let me back that up. 89% of the religiously unaffiliated said climate change is somewhat or very serious problem. So good. The people who had the lowest level of religious commitment had the highest belief that climate change was a serious problem. So not surprising there either.
Yeah.
And the thing is, here's where it gets more in depth here. The same survey said evangelicals were 3 times more likely to trust their pastors on the topic than elected officials.
Correct.
And yet, it's their political views that shape their views on climate. So, like, the point is, if pastors actually talked about this stuff, they actually have the ability to change minds in their congregation.
I get what you're saying and what you mean, but I'm not sure pastors are the best people to trust to provide. Like, science communication is not easy. And climate change is extraordinarily complicated. It's difficult to wrap your arms around. It's difficult to like get in your head. And frankly, I don't think that a pastor, like, it stinks that people get their information.
They're not inviting biologists to talk about LGBTQ people at church. Those pastors seem to be self-proclaimed experts on those topics. But again, we're not asking them to go into the science.
But that's not what you're saying. But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about, like, it would be like if you had said, like, we want pastors to like talk more about like gay pride and shit like that. Like, I'm not gonna trust a pastor to like accurately describe Stonewall or you know what I mean? Like,
you're not, I'm not, but those people.
But that's why
do.
I'm saying we shouldn't look to pastors for that. But I guess you're right with the guest speaker thing. I don't know how churches work, so.
They have guest speakers, but again, the point is they trust their pastors more than a lot of other people. So pastors do have an obligation if they think this is legit and they don't want misinformation in their churches. Some of them, not a lot. But again, some of them who actually care about this stuff, they could make a difference if they made this a bigger deal in their sermons. I'm not saying you have to do the whole sermon on the subject. You could work it in.
No, I know. I just don't think that's a realistic look at
I mean,
how
I'm not
people
holding my
want to
breath.
learn. No, of course. But like,
in case anyone's curious, who thinks global change is a very serious problem? Among atheists, 88%, highest on the list. Evangelical Christians, lowest on the list, 34%.
Well, I bet they sleep really well at night.
Once again, we are the ones with the moral high ground. Everyone else is playing catch up. Surprise. This one's petty, but I got angry about it. So
Love
whatever.
pettiness.
One of the election results.
Hammett is petty. I bet it's about a kid.
No, not this time. He's only a kid at heart. Kevin Stitt was reelected governor. Reelected governor of Oklahoma. He was elected 4 years ago, got reelected last week. And one of the first things he did after his reelection last week is he was like in front of the Capitol building in the state, and he said a prayer. And he said, "Father, we just claim Oklahoma for you. Every square inch, we claim it for you in the name of Jesus." And this goes on for a little while, but I think he just ceded all of Oklahoma to the Christian God, which I'm sure the Native Americans and their descendants.
I think they should have first
state,
dibs.
You would think, but nope.
First right of refusal on Oklahoma as a state.
Yep, skipping them, going straight to the Christian God.
Just generally, not even Jesus.
Just through Jesus, because of Jesus, it's going to God. And the thing is, like that. I'm
not going to miss Oklahoma that much. I won't notice if God takes it.
If any non-Christian said anything like this, there would be calls for his resignation. But again, this is how our country works. Because it's a Christian governor saying, "I'm ceding Oklahoma for my God. It's yours now." It didn't even get... I didn't see it discussed anywhere outside of like watchdog groups, church-state separation groups. Just to be clear about Stitt, when he first got elected, he held an inaugural prayer service In March of 2020, when the pandemic started, he held a Christian-only prayer service that aired on TV stations across the state. It did not stop COVID.
He forgot about the First Amendment. Not again.
He urged Oklahoma to pray and fast to deal with COVID because his plan A, which was nothing, wasn't working.
I can't believe that didn't work.
The Freedom from Religion Foundation has sent a letter calling on him to at least apologize. Don't hold your breath for that.
I've never heard anybody apologize.
Here's an interesting story involving United Airlines. This story involves a pilot. His name is David. His last name isn't important. David worked for United Airlines for decades, but in 2017, he was diagnosed with substance abuse problems.
Oh, shit.
So his pilot's license was suspended, sure. And they said it's temporarily suspended until you can complete a recovery program. Totally makes sense. I get all of that. But what they told him is you have to go through Alcoholics Anonymous, which is a famously religious, I mean, it's not Christian, but it is a religious program. If you're familiar with their 12 steps, they include giving yourself over to a higher power greater than ourselves. His meetings would have been held in a Christian church. And what David said is, I'm Buddhist. This is not my religion. I don't want to pledge allegiance to any higher power that goes outside my faith. I don't feel comfortable here. Now, it turns out he learned of a nearly identical program. It was called Refuge Recovery that actually caters to Buddhists.
Refuge Recovery?
Yeah.
Part of Rational Recovery. We talked about that in the Mike Flanagan interview.
A secular version of
Check it out.
Refuge Recovery caters to Buddhists, and it does a lot of the same stuff. So he asked United Airlines, can I use that instead? And they said no.
Really?
Yeah, which meant he could not complete the treatment program.
Renegade Recoverists or whatever, are they like...
Refuge Recovery.
Are they like official? Are they...
As far as I can tell, it was a nearly identical program to what Alcoholics Anonymous was offering. I don't know about the licensing.
I don't know either. I kind of wish I had looked into that.
But he said it was, his lawyer said it's basically the same thing. United said no. And they didn't say no because it doesn't meet these standards. They just said no. So he sued in 2020. He had the help of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Basically, government lawyers are getting on his side here. And the argument was simple. United did not say there was a substantive difference between those two programs. They just said, you got to go to the quasi-Christian one. Yeah. That violates his civil rights. And now, this week, this case finally got resolved with a settlement. United Airlines said, we will pay him all the back pay, plus lawyer fees and whatever. That amounts to over $300,000. We will reinstate him in their program that involves getting your license back and accommodate staffers who are in similar situations in the future. So win-win for everyone involved, except for United, which apparently had to go through a 3-year ordeal here to finally do what they should have done 3 years ago.
Were there any fines or anything for United? Like, is United held responsible for any kind of, like, okay.
The settlement says we'll just call it, like, let's
call it good.
Call it good. We will give him this money. We'll talk to the lawyers. We'll make sure this never happens in the future. And we're making sure this guy is on a path to getting his license back.
Cool.
And that's
that's all we can ask for, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess do the right thing in the first place.
It's not like this is a unique situation because we've seen similar lawsuits in other cases. We saw it in federal prisons. Atheists filed lawsuits saying, certain religions were getting treated better than mine because mine wasn't seen as a valid option. This is such one of those things where a simple accommodation was available. It wasn't complicated. It didn't require any special things on United's part. It shouldn't have been this hard to do.
I would kill to be in the meeting where they're like, no. He cannot do anything. That's not AA.
What were they thinking?
Like unless it's just like somebody made a call and they shouldn't have, and then nobody wanted to back down, maybe. Like genuinely, that's the only thing. Because that's a wild thing to be, like, to take a stand on as United, and that obviously opens you up to a lawsuit. Like, you had to be real delicate with shit like that.
Yeah, who are their lawyers at this
Unless
point?
Maybe it was whoever made that decision didn't understand that AA is a low-key Christian thing.
But it's not like you weren't informed about it by this guy.
No, yeah, you're right.
It was stupid on their part.
Don't you want to get in their heads and say, like, who made this decision?
Yeah.
And how much are you getting paid? And can I have that job instead?
I can do a bad job. Yeah.
I could do a bad job at literally any job in the entire world. Try me.
The
more I get paid, the worse I do.
This is a depressing story, but an important one.
Oh, boy.
There was a guy elected in Florida on the Collier County School Board, which is public school board. Christian Nationalist. He didn't hide that during his mini campaign for the school board seat. And he won. Him and a slate of 3 conservative candidates on a 5-member school board.
Oh, boy.
I know. So the 3 conservatives won the race. Jesus. They have taken over the school board.
You said the county, what state? Florida.
Florida. The guy's name is Jerry Rutherford. And the thing is, like, his platform is bizarre. And when the local newspaper is like, so what do you actually hope to accomplish? Because when we talked to you a while back, when you launched your campaign, you said you were interested in improving safety, providing mental health care for students and teachers, and dealing with the budget. But that doesn't...
Dealing with the budget?
Fixing the budget, whatever. Fine. Totally normal school board stuff. But on Wednesday morning after the election, when they reached him by phone, he said he has a 5-point agenda that he'd like to implement.
Jesus.
And on it are the items of mental and physical discipline.
Discipline?
Yeah. Or physical punishment of children in the public schools.
You're lying to me right now. That's not exactly the words
Here's
he used.
the quote. I only
like
went
corporeal bullshit, right?
Corporal punishment. He said in a quotation, I only went to the principal's office one time when I was in school, and that was when they used the Board of Education, if you get what I'm saying.
God, they're so stupid, all of them. It's not clever, you guys.
Wait, it gets worse. Then he said, you know who's out of control and getting away with too much?
Oh, Jesus.
Disabled students.
No. No, you're...
Yep, that's what he's actually planning to do. He wants corporal punishment on kids, including kids with disabilities, because they're out of control.
Did he expand on what kinds of things disabled kids with disabilities are?
Do you think he has any nuance here?
No, but I'm genuinely, this isn't me doing it, but I'm genuinely asking, like, is he talking about, like, a kid with ADHD who won't settle down? Or is he talking about, like, a kid with Down syndrome who's vocalizing and is, quote unquote, getting away with too much?
When I read it, I was assuming the ADHD types.
Okay. Which is bad as somebody with ADHD. Tell you what, I had ADHD my whole life. If somebody beat the shit out of me, I would still have ADHD because that's how brains work.
Yeah. He also said some legislators had passed bills that he thinks extends the rights of LGBTQ people beyond normal rights. He said, quote, I'm all for equal rights,
no, you're not.
But I'm not for special rights.
Yes, you are.
And then when they asked him, well, what special rights do LGBTQ people have
Thank God they
that
asked
others
that.
do not, he did not elaborate further. And then he said he wanted to review all new textbooks and flag anything dubious or biased. And then the newspaper said he did not specify what he considered to qualify as biased or rewritten history. So, to summarize.
Can everybody who's listening to this right now please run for something local? Again, we do this like once a month. Hemet and I are dead in the water vis-a-vis politics. Nobody would hire us as dog catcher. But you guys, you're smart and beautiful and listen to great podcasts. Run for your school board. Because otherwise this guy, Chad Chaddington, is gonna.
Jerry Rutherford. To summarize, this religious bigot with no experience in education, no understanding of the education system, whose resume on his campaign
Understanding
website...
is for pussies.
Whose resume on his website included the claim that he's been a Christian for 60 plus years. Who cares? I know. He ran for the public school board because he believes every single bit of right-wing propaganda that's been injected into his veins.
Really worried about CRT?
And he wants to destroy what makes those schools important. He is the Elon of the Collier County School Board. He's just going in to cause chaos, ruin as much as possible, has no one in his life telling him, like, Grandpa, sit down, stop it.
It's just so
By the way,
astounding.
It wasn't one dude just deciding I'm going to run for office here. He had the backing of the Collier County Republican Executive Committee the right-wing Florida Citizens Alliance, and again, 2 other conservatives who ran with this guy are supporting the, let's whip students agenda. By the way, Rutherford isn't even new to this district because he has a history with them, because back in the day, he was president of a Christian ministry called World Changers of Florida, and he sued the school board because they said he could not hand out Bibles to students. So the 2 sides eventually settled their case, and the answer was, you could set up a table and leave your Bibles on it.
I remember this
But you don't get to stand at the table and talk to the kids.
Did you say what year this was?
It was a while back.
Was it like 2012, 2013? Because it sounds familiar.
You know why it sounds familiar?
Because I wrote about it?
No, because years later, that decision was cited by Satanists to set up their own table in a different school district.
Oh, maybe that's what I remember. That's amazing.
By the way, I watched this guy's campaign announcement video.
Can you describe him with words?
Whatever you're thinking he looks like, yes.
Suspenders. But right now, okay. See, recently, my idea of conservative men have been more like the 46-year-old guys in the t-shirts.
Here, I'll help you out. Six Flags dancer dude with that music in the background without the top hat.
I thought you said he's only 60. That guy doesn't have a top hat. I thought you said he's only 60 years old.
Oh yeah, without a cane. But this guy has suspenders and tucks his shirt into his pants.
Oh, Hemmett has never done a worse job. Okay, gang. This is what we're working with here. This man is about 80 years old. He's wearing a white t-shirt.
With his name on it.
Oh, is that what it is? I just saw some red bubble
Collier
letters.
County School Board District 1, Jerry Rutherford.
And it's got kind of bubbly letters, and that is tucked into his Wranglers. And then the suspenders are going over the t-shirt. This gentleman is sitting in a chair, does not care how that looks when he's photographed, because we all know if somebody takes a picture of you sitting all the way back in a chair, you don't look great. In fact, your head looks big, your body looks big, and your head looks tiny, which is what we're dealing with this young man. Yes. He also does not appear to have, this is not a judgment, this is just an observation. It does not appear that he has teeth. He kind of has that sort of sunken mouth of somebody who doesn't have their dentures in, but I don't know. Hemmett did a bad job of describing him.
That was much better.
Thank you.
So that guy ran for school board, and you all did not. I hope you feel bad about yourselves.
Run for school board. Should I run for school board? I don't even have kids. Would they even let me? Can you run for school board if you don't have kids?
All the right-wing people don't have.
I mean, that's a good... Do you remember years ago when there was a same thing happened with Hasidic Judaism?
They took over a public school in New York, yeah.
When was that? Was 20 years ago now?
No, that was recent.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's bad.
Because I feel like that was that for a long time was the conversations we were having.
They don't want to pay taxes that support public schools.
Exactly. And so they would just get elected and then just gut the budget, which is so, it's Mitch McConnell, in a small scale. All
right, one last story for you. This is a follow-up that I wish was not depressing, but it is. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but here's the backstory you need to know. There's a school in Saskatchewan, and a private Christian school. It used to be called Christian Center Academy. It is now called Legacy Christian Academy. Okay. But basically, a bunch of students a couple months ago came out publicly and said, we were students at this school. We were victims of abuse there. And this is not just a high school. This is a K to 12, you're there your entire life sort of school. One woman, Caitlin Erickson, said she was paddled by 2 male staffers. Jesus. Another student said he was subject to a violent exorcism to cast out his gay demons.
Oh, my God. What years did this cover, this lawsuit?
This is probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
2005-ish.
Jesus.
Is in the case of Caitlin. Another student who talked back to his teachers said he was punished with solitary confinement all day for 2 full weeks.
I think solitary confinement is one of those things that the UN frowns upon. Yeah. The U.S. isn't doing great.
And the thing is, in Canada, it's not that this fundamentalist Christian school was abusive.
It's a child.
Yeah. Yep.
Solitary confinement for a child is fucked.
It's not just that this school was abusive. This was a government-funded school, because they can do that in Canada, and had been receiving taxpayer money for decades.
Canada.
Yeah. So the student victims went public because they were calling on government officials to at least halt all funding until an investigation could be completed.
Or at least investigate.
In September, Caitlin Erickson and two of the other victims anyway filed a $25 million class action lawsuit against the school and the church that oversees it. And this time we got even more stories. One person said a former church-affiliated Sunday school teacher sexually abused them. No. Like, of course it gets worse. And they said school officials knew about the abuse but took no action to stop it. So, like,
knew about the sexual abuse?
Yes.
Oh no.
In fact, here's from the this is from the CBC article about it.
How can you do that? How can you be charged with caring for children and not even doing like the bare minimum to protect them?
Seriously. The woman who alleges she was abused in the equipment room says she told her parents of the alleged sexual abuse in 1998 when she was 10 years old. It happened a few years earlier. Her mother and father tell CBC that they informed a senior church official, like as soon as they found out. They say his response to the news was, "Oh my God, not another one." So they filed a class action lawsuit against this church. But here's the thing. Caitlin Erickson, one of the people who is leading the charge here, she's not done either. She has now spent several weeks trying to get a meeting with government officials, like in person, trying to tell them not to fund this school. She appeared in the legislature this week, like literally sat in the stands to make her case, but it didn't work. The premier's office hasn't returned her calls or anything. And like, I was like, why would they not want to talk to her? It's almost like Sandy Hook parents going to Congress.
Truly.
Like Republicans meet with us and then like they get shut out. And it's like one argument could be made, well, the allegations have not been substantiated. No judge has ruled in the victim's favor. Until that happens, like we can't deal with all of this.
I guess that's kind of fair. But, although I feel like if you're a school, you should be transparent and be like, okay, if there's any chance abuse is happening in our school, we need to dig into it.
But one of the other things Caitlin Erickson is arguing is that this school like is not educating students. They use a curriculum called Accelerated Christian Education, ACE. And this is infamous in the world of fundamentalist Christian textbooks because it promotes miseducation. I mean, among the things in the ACE textbooks, it says dinosaurs and humans coexisted because young Earth creationism.
Oh, I have that textbook.
Yeah. It is not scientifically accurate. There's a lot of examples of what's wrong with these books. But the students want the government to shut down these schools or at least suspend more than $700,000 in subsidies. Okay, that's what has been happening for these past few weeks. This Caitlin Erickson is amazing. The reason I wanted to bring this up this week is because there was a scary development here. Because on Twitter this week, she posted this. Hey, Twitter fam, I'm not going to be as active on social media for a while as the kids and I navigate this. Kids and I are in a safe space, a safe place. They're all in good spirits considering.
Kids and I, her children?
Yeah, what are we talking about
here? What are we talking about?
Here's what happened. Here's what she posted on Facebook. She posted a screenshot on Twitter. Early Thursday morning last week, we woke up to some vandalism of scripture verse spray painted on my house.
Just like Jesus used to do.
Yeah, and my security cameras ripped down. So I made the decision to stay somewhere else until the police could investigate.
Oh, sweet girl.
On Friday night, the police contacted me to say there had been a fire at my house.
No.
They set our house on fire.
No.
She says, our dogs are okay. One is suffering from smoke inhalation, but I am told he will be okay. Unfortunately, our hamster, geckos, and snake did not make it. So,
Jesus fucking Christ.
They set this woman's house on fire. Thankfully, her and her kids, and I think there's like one biological kid, one nephew, and 6 adopted kids that she takes care of.
Oh, geez.
That's her family. They were thankfully out of the house because she got them out of there at the first sign of bad news.
And I'm sure the police are like really up on this.
I don't know. I'm not denouncing the police here. Like,
I am.
They're investigating
I bet they're fucking
I don't
it up.
know what they're doing. There is a GoFundMe page, and I'll have the link in the show notes if you want to support her. She has verified that it's legitimate. But again, this woman has acted so courageously.
Tell us her name one more time.
Caitlin Erickson, with a K in her last name, Erick. She has fought for this cause even while government officials are avoiding her at every turn. And she's doing...
This is Canada.
This is Canada.
We expect better of you, Canada. Jesus, model good behavior for us. We're never going to learn if you don't give us a good example to follow.
And again, the people who are alleged victims of this school have been amazing at telling their stories and speaking out and not letting up until something happens. It's just embarrassing. The government officials don't seem to give a shit.
You said this is Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's too bad. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So
what a bummer. Is that it?
That's my stuff.
I am going on a little vacay this weekend. I am going to, not to brag, Hammett, you know me. You know I hate to brag.
Where are you going?
I'm spending the weekend in Indianapolis. Pew, pew, pew.
The finger guns were unnecessary.
It's so funny because I always do finger guns, and the one time I didn't, you're like, I'm gonna write it into the script. Do you know the last podcast on the left?
Heard of it.
It's like a true crime comedy podcast. They do really their humor is not for everybody. I'm the first to say it. It's a little fratty. It's 3 white dudes and they're white duding it up. But for my money, I cannot find any other source of true crime and historical information anything better than what fucking Marcus Parks brings to the table every week. This dude, he did and it's one guy who does all the research and the other dudes are just making jerk off jokes. They did a 5-episode series on the Black Death that was insanely good. They've done a 7-episode series on the JFK assassination and everything that went along with that. If you have any interest in true crimes, conspiracy theories, if you're interested in alien and ghost bullshit, they love that shit. I really, really enjoy it. I learn a ton. Again, can't be clear enough. Not for everybody.
And you're going to watch.
And I'm going to watch that podcast live.
Very nice.
And my friend Leslie and Jeff, who have, I think, guested on the show, who knows, are going to meet me. They're coming up from Louisville. I'm going down to Indy. I'm not doing any kind of meetup because we're staying in a 1-bedroom Airbnb. And
that works.
I don't want to leave it. Hammett, what are you up to this weekend?
Going out of town, not telling anyone where. It'll be fun. See
Do
you
I know
all
where
in
you're going?
Nope. See you all in 2 weeks.
Does your wife?
Maybe.
Oh, I'm going to text her. Cool. Well, I did catch up on Survivor last night. So that's what we're going to be doing in our bonus episode. Sorry, one guy who keeps complaining. I don't know what to tell you, my dude. You cannot just say, please stop with the Survivor, and we're going to stop. That simply isn't how it works.
I do enjoy the message that says, I do not enjoy the content on the bonus episode this couple of weeks that we've been talking
Which
about. Which is funny
because I have genuinely been forgetting to catch up. So we've only been doing it every other week. Everybody needs to take a massive chill pill. You can find me on Twitter at Blueberry for as long as whatever that exists. Hopefully our fucking Facebook page will still exist. You can find us there.
That shit's never going away.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Truly, it's going to be cockroaches and Facebook at the end of the world.
MySpace is going to come out ahead at the end of all this.
Truly, I'm ready for MySpace resurgence. I am. I want somebody to go on my page and have it play Baba O'Reilly really loud in one of those 8-bit songs. And then you'd get my vibe. I used to have a picture of Todd Walker, the second baseman for the Cubs. Really gave my whole personality. That's what I liked about it. Anyway, you can, if you like what you are listening to, you can support what we do here at patreon.com/friendlyatheist podcast. $5 gets you a sticker, bonus content. I don't know. Probably some other stuff.
Even
unclear.
Netflix is dunking on Twitter right now. Feels like the last 20 minutes of Don't Look Up right about now.
I never saw Don't Look Up. I just thought it would bum me out too hard.
Mad.
Yeah?
It was,
Oh, that's too bad. I thought it was everybody said it was. Yeah, that's fair.
I limit myself to Candace Cameron movies.
I'm really not excited. I'm excited to talk about Survivor, but I don't think I'm enjoying it as much as I was in the beginning. Because
fair. Save it.
Well, because the people who are doing well aren't likable.
Yeah.
Because that's I realize that's the nature of the game. Okay, we'll do it.
All right. Okay. We'll see you. I'll have a good Thanksgiving. See you in a couple weeks.
Happy Thanksgiving, Americans.
Bye.